So, I don't think it's a secret that the Catholic Church isn't a lot to be compared with the second chapter of the book of Acts. All you have to do is kind of read it and compare yourself. You see, I'm not so sure that the book of Acts is an actual representation of the way God intended the church to function and run, but you know, it is probably the best example that we have as far as being laid out. Remember, these men were Jewish men, and they came from a Jewish system of worship and fellowship and, you know, study. So, while some of that is very good, some of it, you know, doesn't apply to the New Testament version of how God intends his body to cooperate and organically grow and operate. So I'm just saying that. You know, everybody, I hear so many people say, let's return to the book of Acts, return to the book of Acts. I'm not so sure that the book of Acts is a good representation of what the best. I'm not so sure it's the best representation of what God intends for us to have in terms of worship. However, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a lot better than what we have. The institutionalized religion and just for the sake of discussion here, denominations, has all come out of the Catholic Church. You know, the first original Christian religion was the Catholic Church, and they found themselves mixing with a lot of the different pagan rites and traditions of those places where they went into to make disciples of Christ. So not only did they do that, but they were also powerfully influenced by political and governmental influences. So, all that to say, after that, we had, you know, many occasions where, you know, God began to refine and, I guess you could say, bring back the fact that you just had to read the Word and believe the Word. Read and believe, you know. And you could see things didn't line up to what the institution said. And you could see clearly, our Reformation forefathers could see clearly, wait a minute, this isn't what God is saying. This is some man-made thing, you know. And so they began their mini revolutions, M-I-N-I and M-A-N-Y, against these institutions, this mother church, so to speak. So, in a way, it's like there's been a refining ever since, you know. I think of it this way. I think of, you had a very clear, relatively clear water source in the book of Acts, the second chapter of the book of Acts. I'm not saying it was pristine, but pretty clear. And then it got polluted by man. He put all his stuff in there, you know. And so things got polluted. It no longer was potable water as far as the holiness of God was concerned. So God began to put it on men's hearts, so I believe, to refine or filter these pieces of debris out of their faith, and to get back to the purity of God's Word. this refining process is still going on. I mean, it's been a continuous thing. And I think even in the Catholic Church, it was in the early Catholic Church and all through the Catholic Church and even now in the Catholic Church, I'm not saying that everybody that's a part of that institution is an unbeliever, because only God knows that. And, you know, God's got remnants everywhere. So I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the institution itself, whether it's in the Catholic Church, the Baptist Church, the Pentecostal Church, the charismatic movement, I mean, any of those things. And a lot of so-called quote-unquote kingdom people today think that they've reached some kind of end to something. You haven't reached an end at all. You've just come to another filtering process, because I don't see anybody walking like Jesus, you know. You've got some people that supposedly are walking in the gifts of the Spirit and performing miracles, and I say supposedly because I have seen so much charlatanry and unbelievable abuse of God's Spirit and in the name of trying to help people believe, you know. And so you know, you have people doing that, but you know, what of the character of God? What of the holiness of God? I mean, there's all kinds of different aspects of who God is that, you know, I've yet to see anybody walking like Jesus walked. I do believe that's probably the ultimate goal, though. Not so much one individual, but as a corporate body. And I think that's what we're looking for, you know, where the harlot gets back into the virgin condition, and she's restored as a virgin, and then as a church, and then out of that a man-child can be born. So that's what I think. That's what I think, whether you believe it or not. That's what I believe. So all that being said, there's a certain comfort in our institutions. There's a bit of a security. You know, we can feel at ease in our service to God. We know what to expect. We go in there, we, you know, pay our homage, we give our tithe, we listen to the sermon prepared by a man of God, and we go out and we eat our chicken and, you know, go watch our TV or have fun with the family. It has worked for a long time, and it has still, God has still called out people in the midst of all of that routine to come up a little higher, to come out of Babylon, come up a little higher. You know, and again, it's not just these individual churches. If you're in a Baptist church, I'm not so much talking about a Baptist church. I'm talking about something in here, and where we feel comfortable in these denominational creeds and traditions. I don't know why we would want to stop. When you're trying to get to the heart of God, why would you want to stop? Let's keep our eyes wide open. Let's say, Lord, filter me. Lord, bring a purity to my life. Bring the purity of God in here. Lord, that I can hear your heartbeat. Lord, that I can think your thoughts. That I can manifest Jesus in my life, not just in my principles, but in my actual life. That I can be a worship to you. That I don't have to have lights and multicolored lights and loud sounds and all of this external stuff in order to reach a place of worship in my heart. That's what I want, God, and that's what I believe you want me to have. So that no matter the place I'm in, the external place that you have me, whether it's in the middle of a storm or chaos, or whether it's at a dinner table with brethren, or whether it's anywhere, that I can achieve this awareness that I'm attached to the vine and that I'm a light, that you have ignited me, and that as that light you are setting me on a hill so that I might be a light to others. That's I think God is bringing us back to that time where there's going to be two witnesses. In the book of Revelation speaks of two witnesses that are moving in the power and the Spirit of God. So So I'm simply saying, let's not get so comfortable that we aren't willing to search out more, to allow God to plow up these hearts and bring us into something new, bring us into something fresh. Well, now I don't want something fresh. I'm happy with what I got. Well, and stay right where you are. You know, keep plowing that same old land that you've had, and you know, just keep on. But I'm telling you, there's people that aren't keeping on. There's a people that are gonna move on, and you know, when this life is over and you're standing laying before the throne of God, it'll be too late to say, I want to move on with you now, God. No, with all your experience and all your soul, you're right where you're at. That's where you're at. By the grace of God, that's still a very good place, I think. But thank you for listening.